Welcome back, everyone, to English for Specific Purposes, Level B1. We are your hosts. I am Mr. Daryl.
And I'm Miss Tatia.
Today, we are going to continue our topic on tourism.
გამარჯობათ, მე თათია ვარ, ეს კი დერილია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. დღევანდელი გაკვეთილის თემა ტურიზმია. მაგრამ ვიდრე უშუალოდ გაკვეთილზე გადავიდოდეთ, მოდი გავეცნოთ გაკვეთილის გეგმას. Daryl, will you introduce the plan of today's lesson?
Indeed. We're going to start with an introduction and then move on to the vocabulary for our reading today. We will do the reading next and follow it up with a look at grammar. And our grammar today are prepositions of movement. From there, we will summarize everything at the end and give you your homework.
დღევანდელი გაკვეთილი დაიწყება მოკლე შესწავლით. შემდეგ შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს. შემდეგ წავიკითხავთ ტექსტს, ამას მოყვება გრამატიკა. შემდეგ შევაჯამებთ ჩვენს გაკვეთილს და დავასრულებთ ყველასათვის საყვარელი დავალებით. Let's get started. So, Mr. Daryl, as we are going to talk about tourism again, can I ask you, what's your favorite tourist destination? And why is it your favorite?
My favorite tourist destination? I'm going to say Georgia.
Really?
I am here right now.
Oh, I'm so surprised.
No, you shouldn't be. I'm here because...
And pleased.
Very pleased. I'm pleased as well to be here. I work here and I live here now, but for me, I'm still a tourist at heart, and I still look at Georgia as a wondrous, magical place.
Oh, that was very interesting for me, and I think for the audience too, right?
What about yourself? Where would your favorite tourist destination be?
I think I'm dreaming of going to London, and I think that one day this dream will come true. And Mr. Daryl, what is the most visited country in the world?
Well, good question. I think it would probably be France because of Paris.
Yeah.
Italy.
Yes.
Because of Rome.
Yes, tourists usually flock to these two countries. Okay, now let's move to our first set of vocabulary, and the first word we have is accommodation. Accommodation is a noun, and in Georgian it is საცხოვრებელი ადგილი. Mr. Daryl, I think that I need your help to define this word.
Sure, I'd be happy to help. Accommodation is a place where you can stay, you can even work. It can be stretched to mean a place where you work, a place where you stay, or a place where you are.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that we have to think about our accommodation when we go for travel, yes? So we can book a hotel maybe.
In advance, yeah.
In advance, or stay with friends. Okay, so accommodation is a noun, and in Georgian it means საცხოვრებელი ადგილი. Accommodation, საცხოვრებელი ადგილი. Together? Accommodation. And our next word is attraction. Attraction is a noun, and in Georgian it is მიმზიდველი ადგილი. I think I again need your help, Mr. Daryl.
Sure, an attraction is a place where you can visit somewhere that's interesting, exciting, and worth visiting.
Yeah, you're right. And there are lots of tourist attractions in the world, right?
And in Georgia too.
Yes, in Georgia too. So attraction is a noun, and in Georgian it is მიმზიდველი ადგილი. Attraction, მიმზიდველი ადგილი. Together?
Attraction.
Okay, we can move on to the next word, which is custom. Custom is a noun, and in Georgian it means ჩვევა, წესჩვეულება. And how will it be in English? I mean, what is the definition of this word in English?
Custom. A custom is something that people do that is traditional or regular or usual for them.
Yes, and Georgian people have a lot of customs, right?
Yeah,
which might be quite unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar, but that's one of the things I enjoy the most about being in Georgia, seeing those traditional customs.
Customs, yeah. Custom is a noun, and in Georgian it is ჩვევა, წესჩვეულება. Custom, ჩვევა, წესჩვეულება. Together?
Custom.
And let's move on to the next word, and this is majestic. Majestic is an adjective, and in Georgian it means დიდებული. Okay, how would you define it in English?
It's a great word. You want to go see majestic things. It describes big, impressive, and beautiful things that you see in a kind of calm and serious, reflective way.
Yes, and I think that we have majestic mountains in Georgia.
Very majestic. The Caucasus Mountains
are majestic. So majestic is an adjective, and in Georgian it is დიდებული. Majestic, დიდებული. Together?
Majestic.
And the next word is resort, and resort is a noun, and in Georgian it is კურორტი. How would you define it in English?
A resort is a place where people go for vacation, sometimes by the sea, sometimes on the mountains, somewhere far away from your usual living place.
And we have a lot of resorts in Georgia, and a lot of tourists come to Georgia. One of the examples might be Borjomi or Baguriani or Sairme, and so lots of them. We are rich in resorts, right?
Very good word.
So resort is a noun, and in Georgian it is კურორტი. Resort, კურორტი. Together?
Resort.
And our next word is ancient, which is an adjective, and in Georgian it is ანტიკური უძველესი. How will it be in English?
It's an easy word in the sense of it just relates to people who lived a long time ago or the way that they lived. So both can mean ancient.
Georgian people are ancient people, and this country is also ancient, right?
Exactly, and I love history, and your ancient ruins and cities and history is what I love most.
Yeah, exactly. So ancient is an adjective, and in Georgian it is ანტიკური უძველესი. Ancient, ანტიკური უძველესი. Together? Ancient. And the next word is irresistible, and it's an adjective, and in Georgian it is უაღრესად მიმზიდველი. How would you say it in English?
Irresistible is something that's impossible to not want or to resist or to stay away from. It pulls you towards it somehow.
Yeah, and here we have an example. Paris looks irresistible from top of the Eiffel Tower. It means that it's very, very beautiful. It's impossible not to like this place. Is it? Am I right?
And your Caucasus Mountains, the majestic mountains, are also irresistible to
That's
tourists.
That's right. So irresistible is an adjective, and in Georgian it is უაღრესად მიმზიდველი. Irresistible, უაღრესად მიმზიდველი. Together?
Irresistible.
Okay, and I think that we've finished with the words, and it's time to turn to the exercise, right? ეხლა კი გადავიდეთ ლექსიკურ სავარჯიშოზე. ეკრანზე თქვენ ხედავთ განმარტებებს და ჩვენ უნდა სწორად შევუსაბამოთ მათ სიტყვები. Let's start. So the first definition is a place for someone to stay, live, or work in. What do you think is the word, Mr. Daryl?
I do remember this one. I believe it is accommodation.
Yes, we said that accommodation is really, really important when you go somewhere. So you are right, the word is accommodation. And
let's move to the next sentence. And Ms. Tatia, maybe it's your turn now. Somewhere or something you can visit that is interesting and enjoyable.
Let me look through the words. Is it an attraction? Yes, I was right.
Well done.
It's an attraction. Okay, so it means that we can move on and look at the next statement. This is something people do that is traditional or usual, and I know it for sure because we talked about customs. You said that you were fascinated by Georgian customs, so it should be customs, and let's check. And it is customs.
Very good. Let's move on to the next one. What is big, beautiful, or impressive in a calm or serious way?
Do you want my hint? It was about Caucasus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is it?
Majestic.
Yes, you're right. We said that
the Caucasus Mountains were majestic, a majestic sight to see.
Yeah. Absolutely right. So we can move on to the next one, and this statement is like this. A place many people go for a holiday. Do you remember what I said about Borjomi and Sairme and Bakuriani?
That they were very attractive for tourists.
But what are they called?
Resort.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely right. This is resort. So we can move on. Only 2 words are left. There is 1 definition and 2 words. You have to choose between these 2.
It's going to be you because I'm going to give you the sentence.
Okay, well, I'll try.
Impossible to refuse, not like or not want.
Yeah, I know. It was about Paris. And Paris is an irresistible city. So the answer is irresistible.
Perfect.
Okay, and the quite obvious answer, but we have to still read it. So can you do it?
Relating to people or places that existed thousands of years ago.
And this is ancient.
Yeah, like the Georgian people.
That's great. Ancient. Okay, now I think that it's time to move on to the next section, which is reading.
Yes, and we have vocabulary for the reading text.
ეხლა კი კითხვის დავალებაზე გადავიდეთ, მაგრამ სანამ უშუალოდ ტექსტს ავიკითხავდეთ, მოდით შევისწავლოთ რამდენიმე სიტყვა, რომელიც ამ ტექსტის უკეთესად გაგებაში დაგვეხმარება. And the first word that we have is historic. Historic is an adjective, and in Georgian it means istoriouli. So, what is the definition of this word, Mr. Daryl?
Historic is a place that is ancient and interesting or impressive in some way because of its ancientness.
Yeah, and we have, in Georgia, we have lots of historic places visited by many tourists. So historic is an adjective, and in Georgian it is istoriouli. Historic, istoriouli. Together?
Historic.
And let's move on to the next word. It's compact. Compact is an adjective, and in Georgian it means kompakturi. Mr. Daryl, I'm waiting for your definition.
The definition is this, something that's small, but actually smaller than things of its own type. So in a smaller size, something that comes in a smaller size than things of its other things of its type.
Yeah. For example, here we have an example. I live in a compact flat above the shop. It means that the flat is quite small, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So compact is an adjective, and in Georgian it means kompakturi, padara. Compact, kompakturi, padara. Together? Compact. And we can move on to the next word, which is population. Population is a noun, and in Georgian it means mosachleoba. Mr. Daryl, I need your help.
Population are all the people that live in a certain area. So, the amount of people that live somewhere.
Yeah, for example, the population of Georgia is not quite big, right?
It used to be bigger.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is not as big as it used to be. So population is a noun, and in Georgian it means mosachleoba. Population, mosachleoba. Together?
Population.
And the next word is pollution. Pollution is a noun, and in Georgian it means dabinzureba. Mr. Daryl, can you define the word for us?
This is when the air, the water, the land around you is somehow damaged by chemicals, by things that poison the environment.
Yeah, and there is much talk about pollution all over the world, right? The air is really, really polluted, and people are suffering because of this, right?
With health problems as well.
Yeah. So pollution is a noun, and in Georgian it is dabinzureba. Pollution, dabinzureba. Pollution, dabinzureba. So let's say it together.
Pollution.
And the next word is overcrowded. Overcrowded is gadavsebuli xalxit gadaჭედილი. I think that I need your help again.
Overcrowded. This sometimes happens on public transportation, such as the metro or the bus. It's when there are too many people pushed into one area and there's not enough space for all of them.
Okay, you're right. And I hate overcrowded places. I always try to avoid being there.
I do the same with queues as well.
Yeah, the same. Okay, so overcrowded is an adjective, and in Georgian it means გადავსებული ხალხით გადაჭედილი. Overcrowded, გადავსებული ხალხით გადაჭედილი. So together,
Overcrowded.
And I think that we have finished with the words. Now we are ready to read the text. But before we start reading the text, I have a few questions. So, Mr. Daryl, look at the photo and just tell me, can you recognize which city is this?
You know, because of the waterways, I would have to say somewhere in Italy. And I would say that it is Venice.
And how did you recognize this?
Yeah, because of the waters. It's famous, quite famous for not really having a road system or having a very small road system, but having, instead of a road system, a series of waterways.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it also helped me to recognize this place. And by the way, do you know anything about Venice, Mr. Daryl?
Oh, well, I know it's a historic and very old Italian city. It was a business center years and years ago, but now it remains a very attractive tourist town.
Yeah, you're right. I also know a few things about Venice because I'm an armchair traveler.
Oh, great
and
word.
I usually watch videos about different countries all over the world. So I know that Venice is a city on the water, and instead of transport, people here use gondolas, right?
That's
so
true.
you were surprised to hear that I am an armchair traveler.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. So it means, I guess, that when you are in your house, but you love to explore new places through the internet or through books, and in your mind, you kind of travel there.
Yes, that's it. You're right. Okay, now I think that we can go and read the text.
Yeah.
So let's start. Venice is one of the most beautiful and most historic cities in the world. It is in the north of Adriatic Sea and is built on 118 small islands. There are almost no streets in Venice. Few cities are as compact as Venice. The islands are connected by 182 canals with a total length of more than 46 kilometers. The longest canal is the Grand Canal, which is 3.8 kilometers long. More than 400 bridges cross the canal. The vaporetti or water buses are the most popular transport in Venice. Another way of moving in the city is gondola. However, gondolas are a bit more expensive.
Venice is also one of the most famous cities in the world. This means that it is very popular with tourists. The city has a population of just 55,000, but every day around 60,000 tourists visit the city. More than 22 million tourists come to Venice from all over the world every year, which is good for businesses such as hotels, restaurants, and cafes. But the enormous numbers of tourists also cause pollution, and the famous parts of the city, such as the main square, are always very crowded, especially in August, which is the busiest month of the year.
So the enormous cruise ships that visit Venice are also a problem. Every year, over 1.5 million visitors arrive in Venice by cruise ship. But according to local people, these visitors are not the biggest problem. Most tourists come to Venice from other Italian cities and holiday resorts, especially when it rains and they cannot stay on the beach. A further problem is that these visitors bring their own food with them and don't spend any money in Venice. Now let's check how well we remember the text. ეხლა კი გადავიდეთ კითხვის დავალებაზე. ეკრანზე გამოჩნდება წინადადებები. ჩვენ უნდა მივხვდეთ ეს წინადადებები სიმართლეს შეესაბამება თუ არა. თუ წინადადება სიმართლეს შეესაბამება, ვამბობთ true. თუ წინადადება simართლეს არ შეესაბამება, ვამბობთ false. Now let's start. And this is my favorite activity, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Well.
Okay. So the length of the canal in Venice is below 40 kilometers. Do you remember the information? from the text?
Oh, well, this number I'm not too sure on, but I'm going to say false.
Yeah, you're right. It's false because we read the islands are connected by 182 canals with a total length of more than 46 kilometers. So we're right, we can move on. And now I will try, okay?
Okay.
So there are over 1,000 bridges across the canals, which I think is not right because I remember that there were about 400. So I think that this is false and I will prove why. Here it is. More than 400 bridges cross the canals.
Excellent.
So I was right.
Now, let me read the next one. Visitors arriving by cruise ship are not the biggest problem. Is that true or false, Mrs. Tatia?
I know the answer, by the way. This must be true.
Excellent, because
Let's
that
check.
is.
Yes.
Look at the
All right.
text.
Yeah, let's look at the text.
Most tourists come to Venice from other Italian cities and holiday resorts, especially when it rains and they cannot stay on the beach.
Yes, I remember this. So I think that just we can do this exercise quite well. We remember most of the information from the text and it was brilliant. But now I think it's time to move to grammar. Let's look at this sentence.
And we are going to talk about prepositions of movement. Look at this sentence. More than 22 million tourists come to Venice from all around the world every year.
Mr. Daryl, are the highlighted words in the sentence prepositions?
Yes, they are. The to and the from.
Are prepositions.
Are prepositions.
Okay, now can you give us more information about prepositions?
Yes, and the diagram that we have will help with that. So have a look at it. Prepositions of movement or direction are used to show movement from one place to another. These prepositions are often used with verbs of motion and are found after the verb. For example, she went away from me. The preposition to is used to indicate a destination or direction. For example, many people travel to Paris every year. The preposition towards is used to say that someone or something moves, looks, or faces in the direction of someone or something else. A man was walking towards the London Eye. The preposition through is used when we talk about movement from one side to another, but in something such as long grass or a forest. Here's the example. My friend walked slowly through the crowds that were around him. The preposition into is used to talk about the movement that enters a space, usually with a verb that expresses movement. Don't put my shoes into the suitcase. The preposition over refers to movement at a higher level than something else. It can also be used when talking about movement across a surface. For example, he jumped over the wall. The preposition across is used when talking about movement from one side of something to the other, which has sides or limits, such as a city, road, or river. It is also used when something touches or stretches from one side to another. Here's the example. The museum is across the street. The preposition along is used to show movement of something in a line that follows the side of something long. For example, we went walking along the beach. The preposition from is used to show the place where someone or something starts. What time does the train from Belgium arrive? And the preposition around refers to the movement in circles or in the vicinity area of something. Her hair whipped around her face in the wind. And the preposition up refers to a higher position or movement to a higher position. I saw clouds up in the sky. The preposition down, likewise, indicates the movement to a lower position. The shopping mall is located down the street.
Okay, well, now let's look at some sentences and try to fill the gaps with appropriate prepositions. მოდით შევხედოთ ეკრანზე გამოსახულ წინადადებებს და შევეცადოთ სწორი წინდებული შევარჩიოთ. So, as we can see the sentences, I flew, then blank, San Francisco, blank, Berlin. So, what do you think what preposition should go here?
It will be I flew from San Francisco to Berlin.
Yeah, you're right. From and to. And the next sentence is walk, then blank, the street to reach the attractions. What do you think? Which preposition can fit this gap, Mr. Daryl?
The only one that can seem to fit is through. You'd have to...
Let's see. Walk through the street to reach the attractions, and you're right. Okay, and the next one is he threw the ball, then blank, the wall. Which preposition can we use here?
I would say over.
Maybe yes. Yes, he threw the ball over the wall. I think that we could cope with this task too, but I think that now it's time to finish our lesson. But before we finish, let's summarize the lesson. What have we done today?
We looked at vocabulary related to tourism, once again. We had a reading text on Venice, and we had grammar on prepositions of movement.
დღეს ჩვენ შევისწავლეთ ახალი სიტყვები, წავიკითხეთ ძალიან საინტერესო ტექსტი ვენეციაზე და ვისაუბრეთ გრამატიკაზე, კერძოდ წინდებულებზე. Now it's time for homework. What are we going to have as a homework, Mr. Daryl?
Well, we have this question for our viewers. Write about one of the most popular tourist destinations that you know of.
And again, a question. Where can this homework be sent, Mr. Daryl?
It should be sent to the email on the screen.
Yeah, and is there a modal?
Yes, we do, and that can also be seen at the same address.
Okay, so I think that we have to finish this lesson, and I think that some more interesting topics are coming, right?
That's right, we're moving to something new next time.
So stay with us and keep on learning.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.